What is going on, everybody? So as you can tell by the title of this video, this is my highly delayed review of The Batman, the Matt Reeves The Batman 2022 movie with Robert Pattinson. Um, Definitely have some thoughts on this movie. I've seen it twice now in theaters, and overall, I'm gonna say my opinion of it is positive. But we're going to go through it. We're going to go through it. I'm going to talk about the objective filmmaking aspects of it first and whatnot, and then we'll get into the more subjective stuff. So, objectively, loved the acting, loved the casting, loved the setting. I loved the tone of the movie. I loved how they portrayed, like, this is the darkest, most crime-ridden, shittiest version of Gotham we've ever seen in a live-action movie yet. I loved the costumes. I loved all of that stuff. It is a great movie. It's a great film, really. But that's also kind of where it hurts it, in my opinion, as a comic book fan. But like I said, we'll get into that. Another little thing that kind of touches on that, it's a little in between the two issues, the runtime. It's basically 3 hours. Like, what is it, 2 hours and 55 minutes long? Like, it's basically 3 hours long. Why is it 3 hours long? Is it because it just needed to be? Yes and no. The reason it's 3 hours long is for those of you who've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's all those, not quite slow motion, but it's the broody Batman walking around slowly, slowly turning his head, looking at stuff, analyzing things, looking into a camera, taking off his cowl, watching a TV screen. Just everything had to be so like, this is not just a popcorn munching comic book movie. This is a real film. It had to have that, and that let it. If you cut out all that, the slow, the brooding, you know what I mean? Like, if you cut out all that and Batman just like gets on screen and does the shit he needs to do, you cut off a good amount of time in this movie. You know what I mean? So, and that's not to say that the movie's all slow. Like, when the action happens, and the action is like boom, boom. It's good. It's fast paced. But there's just moments where you're just like, okay, can we fucking like, let's go, let's move this along. But if it didn't have those moments, it wouldn't be this celebrated film. It would just be another like summer blockbuster popcorn munching flick. And you're always going to get the two sides of the coin with that, where there's going to be the people who are fans of this stuff, and they kind of want it to be the way it is in comics and cartoons and the source material, which is much more poppy and, the blockbuster popcorn munching flick. But, when you're trying to market it to other people who are not into that stuff, and then also when you're dealing with, like, filmmakers, because let's be real here, filmmakers are an artsy, creative, imaginative bunch. All artists are. They're going to want to try and nuance it and give it deeper layers and more meaning and be introspective and shit. And it's like, can't you... I don't know, man. It's like, we have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I guess I should just be thankful for that, because that's nothing but the fucking nom popcorn. Whoa, did you see that? Oh, damn, fight scene, cool explosion. Like, I'm not shitting on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and to be honest, I wish we had the DC equivalent of a Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's really where my big, like, thing with this movie is. I don't know how to describe it. It's this Batman. All right, let's talk about this. So, like, my one of my buddies, who is also a huge Batman fan, he loved it. He says it might be his new favorite Batman film. He needs to let it sit with him for a while, but it might have surpassed The Dark Knight now in terms of his favorite Batman film. The Dark Knight, even though The Dark Knight is what got me into, like, comics and superheroes, I saw that movie, I wanted to explore more, went to a comic book shop, started reading Batman comics, started reading other DC comics, got into Marvel. The Dark Knight spawned all of that for me. But The Dark Knight itself stopped being my favorite Batman movie, let alone comic book superhero movie, a long time ago. And that's because with the Dark Knight trilogy, and also quite a bit with this new Batman movie, when you try to do realism, arguably, yes, Batman is one of those characters that you can probably get, like, if you were like, I want to do a movie about a comic book superhero character, and I want to do it realistically, Batman's probably the one you go to. But at the same time, like, Batman is also commonly fighting a mad scientist that turned himself into a giant bat monster. He's fighting a what's the word? A shitty actor who ended up becoming this monster made of clay that can change his shape. And there is so much unrealistic shit to Batman, but he is doable in a ultra realistic fashion, as we've seen with the Dark Knight trilogy and with this new Batman movie. The problem is when you go for that ultra realism, you lose the comic bookness of it. And I'm still the guy over here going, look, it's cool that we got another great Batman film, but once again, I feel like a broken record at this point. I've been saying it for like over 10 years. Where the fuck is our DC equivalent to a Marvel Cinematic Universe? It's like, guys, we made an amazing Batman film. Really? Other breaking news, water, wet. Like, that was never up for debate. Like Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns, Tim Burton's two movies, those are great Batman films. The Dark Knight trilogy are great Batman films. There was no doubt that you can make a great Batman film. We've had it before. What we don't have is a true DC equivalent to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I know I'm going to hear a bunch of like people being like, oh, so you're going to hate on this movie just because it's not what you wanted it to be. I mean, a little bit, like it's up to my personal subjective opinion, and I'm going to be honest with you all. I was very much hoping, and I still am, to be honest with you, that despite all of the leaks we've heard about the Flash movie, I'm still hoping that at the end of that movie, there's like alternate reality shifting. It break the reality, repair the reality, and we see like Ben Affleck has his final round as Batman. We see Michael Keaton, but when it's all said and done and Flash has put the timeline back together, I was hoping he would be back in the normal timeline, all put together. He'd go to the Batcave and he'd find Robert Pattinson sitting there instead of Ben Affleck. That's been my hope for a long time. Now, based on these leaks, we already know that that's probably unlikely. The leaks are not confirmed. They are still just leaks at this point. And real quick on that note, I just want to reiterate a point that I said in a previous video. If you don't know what these leaks are for the Flash movie, go do some research, find those out. And then once you read what those are, if you hate them, or if you already know what they are, if you hate that idea, if you hate what these leaks are saying is going to happen in the Flash movie, do not go see that movie. Do not pay money for that movie at all until it is confirmed that those leaks are false. And if those leaks turn out to be true, don't pay any money to watch this movie, period. That's all I have to say on that. So, but yeah, the thing about Robert Pattinson essentially becoming our new DCEU Batman, I had high hopes for that. I'm still hoping for it. My hopes are just not as high. But I have to sit here and I go, after seeing this movie twice, could this version of Batman could he even be our DCEU Batman? Well, I mean, let's review. Batman, if he's going to be with the Justice League and getting involved fighting villains like alien invasions and sci-fi monsters, he's not super powered, so he has to have the crazy tech. He has to have the he has to have the multi-billionaire company with the crazy ass R&D department that can build him insane tech that allows him to go toe to toe with crazy shit like alien invasions and sci-fi monsters and shit like that. So does this Batman have it? Well, his costume, we saw Robert Pattinson's costume, it's pretty much full on bulletproof. This dude takes straight up, like almost point blank shots to the chest and upper torso, even the legs somewhat, doesn't, like, it causes him to kind of stagger a little bit, and then he just immediately goes right back to beating your ass. So the suit holds up, and to be honest with you, on the subject of Robert Pattinson's bat suit, I like it. Did not like it when it was originally revealed, but I like it now. The only part that I don't like is these like silver cylinder dart things on his forearms. Like, people were like, what are those? We never saw a practical use or reason for them being there in the movie, which means that they're just some kind of artsy fartsy cosmetic aesthetic choice. Take that shit the fuck off. Nobody needs that. In terms of the suit, the only really complaints I have is, like, lose those dart things on his arms, and then also his cowl. Like, it's just leather in the movie. It needs to be, Batman needs his head protected. So I would like to see, overall, what I would like to see is, like, because this movie's going to get a sequel, it's pretty obvious. I would like to see this Batman evolve. Whether he ends up being part of the DCEU or not, I would like to see this Batman evolve. I would like to see him go, hey, I need a better cowl because leather ain't cutting it. I'm getting concussed all the fucking time. I would like to see him go, oh, I don't know why I put these things on here. They don't fucking do anything. Take that shit off. What else? Most of his gadgets work, even though they have a very, like, homemade kind of feel to them. Like, him and Alfred are in this abandoned subway station beneath Wayne Tower, and he's got all the crazy computers. He's got contact lenses that are also video cameras, and they record shit. He's got the grappling gun, works. It never failed him. Something I did hate, the flying squirrel suit. What the fuck was that? Like, for some people were like, oh, okay, so it's just more realism. That's all it is. It's more ultra realism. But actually, it almost detracts from another area in the Department of Realism, which is the cape. There's no practical, pragmatic use for Batman's cape other than to use it to glide through the city, glide across rooftops. So if he's not using it for that, like, it's not practical in a fight. It's not practical for stealth. It gets caught on shit, gets in the way. But when you're like, oh, he uses it to glide and fly, then it has a practical use. Without that, though, why the fuck is he wearing a cape? So, and by using the flying squirrel suit, not only did it look stupid as hell, it destroys the use of it. It gives the cape no meaning. Like, there's no reason for him to be wearing a cape now, other than the fact that just Batman's always worn a cape. So I hated the flying squirrel suit. I really hope that I want him to get a better cowl that protects his head. I want him to use the cape to fly. If that means he needs a new cape, fine, do that. Everything else, though, costume-wise, was pretty good. I liked it. And he does, like, when he's in the suit, he looks formidable. He looks like a guy that works out, and he's there. He means business. Outside of the suit, he looks like Robert Pattinson. And that's another area where I want to see him evolve. I want to see this character evolve. Right now in the movie, he does not have the pretty boy, billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne personality. He's Batman, and then even when he's out in the world as Bruce Wayne, he's just this dark, brooding, fucked up kid who's like, he's a recluse. He's like, he's very introverted. He doesn't go out very often. But the whole point of, like, it's not a far leap to go, hey, this Batman guy has a lot of crazy tech. Who can afford that? Who could get that? Some rich guy? Well, Bruce Wayne's rich as fuck. And then he had to have the pretty boy douchebag billionaire facade to throw people off the trail. Make people go, oh, Bruce Wayne is a douchey billionaire playboy. Like, there's no way he's going out of his way to defend Gotham at night. Not in this one. In this one, people are going to find out he's Batman pretty damn quick because he acts like Batman even when he's Bruce Wayne. That has to change. Like, it's a nice take. It's like, I get it. It's like all these filmmakers, these artsy fartsy filmmakers, they want to, we got to be unique. We got to be original. We got to bring something new to the table. What if we take this key element of Batman that makes a lot of sense? We just throw it out. Why would you do that? It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but no one's ever done that before, so at least we'll be new and unique. Fuck you. Like, that's all I have to say about that, is fuck you. It belongs in the story. It just does. So I hope that he evolves and comes to the realization, like, hey, I need to start having, like, a public personality, a public appearance as this, like, pretty boy douchebag billionaire. Like, so I'm hoping he goes that route in the future as the character evolves. The Batmobile, it was cool. But for me, it's like when you want to talk about Batman going toe to toe with aliens and sci-fi monsters and standing there next to Superman and Wonder Woman, it really comes down to the aircraft. Like Batman needs his Batwing, his Batplane jet. Like if you look, even Chris Nolan's Batman, I think could have stood next to the Justice League and fit in. Like he had the crazy tech. His Batmobile was practically a tank that could eject into a crazy sci-fi high-tech motorcycle with cannons. And then in the third movie, he had the Bat plane. It's just called the Bat. The only problem is his suit was not bulletproof, which is dumb. I do like that. I like that in the Dark, or not the Dark Knight, in the Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman, his suit is completely bulletproof. I've said this before on the channel. Like, even if when you're like the Dark Knight movies, Nolan movies, they wanted to go for ultra realism, and they were over here like, well, there's no body armor, there's no real body armor in our world that's 100% bulletproof. You can still get shot. If there's gaps and there's weak points, you can still get shot. And I go, okay, that's one of those like realism areas about Batman that we don't fucking need or want. Even though we all know that there are no true, like just completely bulletproof armors in the world. Fuck it. Just put him in one, and let's just like we'll suspend disbelief, or we'll create our own head. He made it. He invented it. He used his billionaire money and resources to invent something that's never been invented before, and voila, it's completely bulletproof. Ping, ting, 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 doesn't get hurt. And they did that in this movie, and it was fucking awesome, brilliant. So his tech leaves a little something. It does and does not leave a little something to be desired. It's just I'm sitting here going like, what is he using to fight aliens? Because he's fight aliens and monsters and shit. You know, I get like punching them, sure, maybe. But like, where's the batarangs? First of all, there were no batarangs in this movie at all. Didn't use batarangs. That needs to happen. And then like he needs to have different ones. He needs to have smoke pellets. He needs to have throwable explosives. Like throw a batarang into a monster villain's chest and it explodes. Like he needs that kind of shit. Didn't really use any smoke grenades at all. This is not a stealthy Batman either. Like he's not a ninja. Like there are some moments where he pops out of the shadows and takes people by surprise, but half the time in this movie when he wants to like talk to someone or interrogate someone, he just straight up walks up on them. Like, or if they're in a nightclub, he just walks right to the front door of the nightclub, like punches his way in. Like this is just a brute brawler Batman. There's no stealth. There's no subtlety. There's none of that. So you can get away with saying like, oh, he's only been Batman for 2 years. These are early days. He still has to learn all that. Fine, but in my opinion, we better see him learn all of that. And then what else is there? The fighting. Let's talk about the fighting. So the fight choreography in the Dark Knight trilogy absolutely ruins that trilogy for me. It was great the first couple times you watch it, but those movies were so good and they were so compelling to watch over and over and over again, and I've seen them so many times now. I look at the fight choreography and I'm just like, yeah, that's very slow, shitty fight choreography where they're deliberately just trying to not hurt each other. And yeah, it doesn't look good at elbow drop, like just fucking all the time. There are moments where like in the background, if you just try to see it, you just see villains just fall down. Like Batman didn't even hit them. And then like when in the third one, he kicks Bane and him and Bane's final fight, he kicks Bane through the glass doors of that building, and the one armed guard of Bane that's standing in there with a shotgun comes running at Batman with the shotgun held up like he's going to hit him with it. I'm like, it's a shotgun. Why didn't you shoot him? Oh, because, that's where it's too realistic. Like, we want it to be realistic, but we also want Batman to win. Yeah, you can't have the two. You can't. You got to compromise somewhere. Either he has a suit that is bulletproof, so the guy shoots him with the shotgun, doesn't do anything, or or Batman has to use the crazy gadgets and the stealth, or the fight choreography has to be better. You watch, I bring this up all the time with friends and on this channel. If you watch the warehouse fight scene from Batman v Superman, not the Ultimate Edition, because that's some rated R shit where he definitely kills people. I mean, he kills people in both, but the theatrical version of the warehouse fight scene from Batman v Superman. That's the standard now. It just is. All right, that fight scene was perfect. Came up through the floor in the rafters before they realize he's up there. Throw mini sticky explosives on all their assault rifles, take out their big guns, drop down into the floor, crack a dude's arm, cause him to start spraying bullets all over the room, just sow chaos into the room before you even get in there and start breaking people down. And then when he does get in there and start breaking people down, like, his suit could also just take bullets. It kind of hurt him a little bit, but he could take it. It didn't penetrate the suit. And then finally, he sowed the chaos. They're all disoriented. They're running low on ammo. They're pulling out knives, and then he goes in, and his fight was just boom, 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 boom. He's just fucking them up, left and right. He took a couple hits. This Batman, the Robert Pattinson one, it's a step above the Dark Knight, but it's still below the standard, which is the Batman v Superman warehouse scene. That's the fucking standard for Batman fight scenes now. Do it that well or don't fucking do it. That's my opinion on it. So, but if you just want to almost count out the pace of the fight scenes, it's like Chris Nolan's were at a pace of and then Ben Affleck, or it wasn't Ben Affleck, it was a stunt double, but the Batman in Batman v Superman in that warehouse scene, their fights were like that was the pace of that fight scene. And then Robert Pattinson is it's not up to that standard. It's better than the Dark Knight, but it's still not up to that standard. And I don't know. I can appreciate Batman taking some punches, getting knocked down, whatever, if he's overwhelmed trying to fight too many people at once. But we started off this movie, the first time you see Batman in this new movie is in a fight scene. He approaches a bunch of guys at a train station and fights them all. He got hit, and I was like, okay, he got hit a couple times, but it just keeps happening many times throughout the movie, and I'm like, why does this Batman suck? Why does he suck? Well, because that's just something we've never tried before, it's artistic and new and unique. Batman has always been an amazing fighter, and he's always just won and kicked ass. But what if he couldn't, What if he got his ass kicked a lot? What if he kind of sucked? Why would I want to watch that? Well, because it's new and it's unique and it's never been done before. Why should I care? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, fight choreography, it was better at some times than it was others. But the end fight in this new movie, The Batman, the end fight where he's fighting all those dudes up above in the arena, all those dudes dressed like the Riddler, it was just, they couldn't pull it off. All the fights up until that point were pretty good, but they couldn't pull that one off. It was him versus 24 other dudes, at least a dozen, probably two. But it was him versus, he was significantly outnumbered. They all had guns, and they were in a big open space. So they couldn't, they didn't use shaky cam to try and hide the fact. But at the same time, with all the goons, how many of them there were, how outnumbered he was, how outgunned he was, and the fight choreography and fight style that they had chosen for this movie, it couldn't carry it. I'm watching this scene of him up in these rafters above this arena fighting all these guys with guns, and I'm just like, this is absolute. He should be dead. The only way he should be dead. Well, in order for him to not be dead, we would have to go with he's just unrealistically good at martial arts. All right, he's unrealistically good at martial arts and stealth and ninja tactics. That's the only way he could not be dead. And I'm like, okay. But if your problem is that's unrealistic, this is also unrealistic. It's also unrealistic that he fights this many armed men the way you have chosen for him to fight them and wins. Someone who is this good at fighting against this many men with guns does not win. They don't win. Someone as good as the Batman v Superman Batman, someone who's that good at fighting and stealth ninja tactics and has all these gadgets, that guy fights this many armed people and wins. Yeah, but there's no one in the world who's really that good at all that. You're right. That's the unrealistic part of Batman. Shut the fuck up and put it in the movie. So, I liked this movie. I give it a solid B minus. But like, this is not my definitive Batman. Uh, it's just not. Like, I told my buddy who me and him were talking about it, and he was like, "Oh, this might be better than The Dark Knight." I told him, I said, "I think I have just gone too far into the comics to appreciate a ultra realistic Batman anymore." To me, like, my love of Batman, it started with The Dark Knight. It started with a love for ultra realistic Batman. But I've watched the entire Batman animated series. I've watched all the Batman animated original movies. I've read a lot of the comics, a lot of the Batman comics. That's more Batman to me now than the ultra realistic live action versions that we've been given before. So, yeah. And I really wish that they would try to do that Batman, the comic booky, not ultra realistic Batman. I really wish they would try to do that, because I think it would prove more popular than they think it would. I think the reason that they always go with this ultra realistic Batman is because they think that more fictional one won't work. And then the counter argument I hear is, well, they tried that with Ben Affleck. No, you didn't. You tried a bunch of fuckery. That's what you tried. You took a 45-year-old man, Ben Affleck, and you made Batman too old. You skipped way too much of his career, 20 years. You don't think us fans, maybe that's some of the best Batman material right there, his first 20 years being Batman, and you just skipped it? Why? Well, because we wanted to do an older Batman. Why? Because it had never been done before. Fuck you. Fuck you. Do you guys see how this goes? Like, the desire to just be unique and artistic and imaginative and creative and try new things and do what's never been done before and push boundaries, that leads to shittier shit. It does. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, the one good thing that did come out of the Ben Affleck Batman was that fight scene in the warehouse, but that comes down to fight choreography. That's not unique to that 45-year-old version of Batman. Someone's going to say, well, maybe he got that good over time. No, Batman got that good by traveling the world for 10 plus years and doing nothing but training to be Batman every waking moment of his life. That's how he got that good. Batman was an excellent hand-to-hand combatant from the get-go. He came back to Gotham, put on a bat suit, and went right to whooping ass. I know, Batman Year One and whatnot, he tried to go out and just fight crime without the bat suit. But, like, you know what I mean? He was an amazing hand-to-hand combatant. Immediately. He did that training beforehand to become Batman. So, no, he didn't get that good over 20 years of experience. He was already an amazing hand-to-hand combatant. This guy's not. This Robert Pattinson, he's not. He looks good in the Batsuit. The Batsuit's cool. This version of Gotham looks cool. All the actors are great. The costumes are pretty much great. The movie was a little too long because they had to make it a film. This can't just be a popcorn munchy blockbuster superhero flick. It has to be a film. It has to be art. Fuck you. How about that? So it's a little too long, and he just sucks. Like, he's the, I don't want to say he's the least competent Batman, but he's like, I don't know. He's definitely competent. He got shit done. He did whoop ass. All of his gadgets did work. It just comes down to my thing of, like I said, like, I've gone way too deep into I've gone way too deep into the more fictional Batman, where he fights aliens and sci-fi monsters and shit, along with gangsters and psychopaths. He fights aliens and sci-fi monsters. Clayface is a sci-fi monster. Killer Croc is a weird sci-fi monster. Man-Bat is a sci-fi monster. Mr. Freeze is arguably a sci-fi monster. I've gone way too far into that Batman and learned to love that Batman to then go ultra realism. Ultra realism, where Batman gets punched a lot, and, like, when you're watching him fight on the screen, you can tell that it's bullshit. Like watching that fight with the Batman v Superman warehouse fight, the thought about how unrealistic it is that this guy can fight this well, that never entered your mind. It didn't, like, you weren't sitting there watching it going, this is bullshit, no one can fight that well. You sat there and watched it and went, oh shit, that was badass, that was visually pleasing to observe. So why not go with that for a movie? I don't know. But anyway, like I said, like, I do like this movie. I'm probably coming off like I like it a lot less than I really did. Like, I did like this movie. I will probably buy it and own it. I will. It's Batman. I will. But yeah, I mean, like, I just want to see him evolve. That's what I want to see. It was a nice first movie, B minus, but I want to see him evolve and get better and become more Batman. So yeah, that's my take on the movie. Let me know what you guys think. Please leave some comments below, get a discussion started. If you like this video, please hit the like button. That really helps out the channel. If you want to help out the channel even more, check out some of my other videos and maybe subscribe. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time.